It's an intercept for Crichton. Crichton, he's away. Is he away with the premiership?
Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Jensen away. Pat Richards has scored.
G'day. Hey guys, how are yous? It's Ryan here, and I have with me Aaron from the Catbros. And my voice is failing me. Oh my god, so that's great. Good start to the stream.
Great sign.
Yeah. This is what happens when we do it at night. Get home from work, have dinner, get sleepy, and then die. That's
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, that's my usual day.
Weekdays in a nutshell.
Yeah. But now that lockdown's over, everybody's going out on the weekends again. Selfish people, I think. That's what it is. They should be at home watching YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah, doing something productive with their night, like watching us stream.
Exactly. It's alright. I don't mind. Come out here and braving the murder birds to do this on a Tuesday night. Alright, so last time we did the season review / preview. I guess we do have the little question in there about how we see them going for next year as one of our 6 questions. We did the bottom 4, so we had the Dogs, Tigers, Broncos, and Cowboys. Nearly forgot the Cowboys. They nearly threw me. They nearly bamboozled me there.
Everyone forgets the Cowboys.
I think even the Cowboys are forgetting the Cowboys at this point. No. So, today we have the next 4 on the ladder, obviously. So we start from the bottom, work our way to the top. Pretty self-explanatory. And today we go... First up will be, who was next again? Because I'm losing my mind.
The Warriors, I believe.
Yeah, they were for some reason I thought they were closer to the 8. My mind was like, no, Warriors were better than that. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
well, it's funny that closer to the 8 was like 1 win. I think that 2 wins between 13th and 8th. Weird season.
Yeah, you got a massive gap from the bottom to the top, and then there was some closer teams in there. I think Titans only got in on 4 and against. You got 3 teams on 22, and then it goes down to Dragons on 18. It's like, okay, there's like gaps all over the place.
I think there was like a 6-point gap between the Eels and the Knights as well.
Yeah, so the Eels are on 32 and the Knights are on 26. So you were right.
So.
Exactly 6 points. Like, so you got that gap there, and then you go down. And then you got Titans 22, Sharks 22, Raiders 22, and then Dragons 18. So, little gaps here and there, which, I don't know. We'll see how it goes next year. Sucks they're not revising some of the rules, but I guess that's a discussion for another time.
Pretty much.
I was going to do up some graphics for this week, but the kids have been mayhem, so I haven't been able to do it, but I will definitely do it for next week. So I might jump straight to it. Warriors. Do you want to kick us off?
Righto. So this year I actually was pretty close with the Warriors. I predicted they'd finish 10th. I kind of thought their season would go about the way it did. I obviously thought they'd win maybe a few more games than what they ended up winning, but I kind of thought that I didn't see too many players from the Warriors performing consistently enough to make the 8. Like, obviously they had the talent there, but I really thought they just wouldn't get it together as much as they needed to. And in that regard, I was pretty spot on with how their season sort of played out.
Yeah, they didn't really have the spine for my liking. Like halves particularly, I think.
Yeah, even after they brought some halves in mid-season.
Like, I mean, that helped a bit, I think, but it's not like they went on some crazy winning run towards the finals or anything like that. So, I don't know. They're bringing across. Actually, I've forgotten their roster for next year. Totally blow my mind with their signings.
I will see what I can bring up. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer. I mean, the obvious one with promising rookie would have to obviously go to Reece Walsh playing fullback.
How could it not?
I mean, yeah, would anyone disagree with that? I don't think so. RTS moved positions just to let him get experience there. And he was really good
pretty
too.
good thing of RTS to do, considering like he was the stalwart, he was the star player, but he basically selflessly moved himself to accommodate this young kid who'd be taking over from him next year.
Yeah, kind of shows RTS quality though. He's like one of the genuine decent like guys out there in the NRL. So, game he's going. Didn't get to actually play some more finals. He was one of the good ones, and we'll miss him.
Yeah, it massive loss to not only the club but to the NRL as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many people who actually dislike him. Really, I think most fans.
It's hard to dislike a player like him.
Virtually
like
impossible.
he's never really been. I don't think he's ever really been involved in any sort of scandal, has he?
I can't remember anything off the top of my head. I don't think there is anything, and he's not the type to. Like, I don't think he's ever had too much on-field grubbery that anyone's taken issue with. So, like, he's a gentleman on and off the field. Very popular guy, so it's a shame.
Okay, so the Warriors have lost Leeson Armour, who's retired. Kane Evans has been released.
Thank God.
Tua has gone to the Super League. Petahiku to the Cowboys. Carl Lawton to Manly. Ken Marlowe was obviously a mid-season switch to the Tigers.
Yeah.
Hayes Perham to Para. Chad Townsend to the Cowboys. RTS to Union. And Paul Turner to the Titans. They still have Tom Ale, Jackson Frey. I'm not going to try and pronounce that third name. Edward Cozzy, Sean O'Sullivan, and Isaiah Vagana are still off contract, and their gains, they've gained Sean Johnson, Aaron Penne, and Ash Taylor.
That's who I was trying
Ash
to remember.
Taylor, obviously being a very recent one.
Yeah.
I think he was only like a train and trial or something.
That was a train and trial contract last I heard, so unless that updates between now and the start of the season. But it was Sean Johnson was the one I was trying to remember.
The big day one.
It'd be so weird to see like Johnson and Taylor halves pairing. I just
it really would.
That would be the weirdest thing in the world. I don't know how that's going to work. It's really unusual.
Trippy.
Yeah.
Who would you have picked for their MVP for the season then?
I'm going to say RTS. Just for the way he did what he did and was very selfless. I mean, that the long-term benefit the team's going to have from that, I think, is going to be huge. Letting Reece Walsh have a season of fullback, and on top of that, he's still a great player and still had some good moments.
So, yeah, and Walsh is a player as well. Like, we saw what he was capable of, and RTS obviously saw that in him.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that kind of leadership should be valued as well as, the highlight plays, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, the guy's the captain who's obviously seen this young bloke who's got the skill. He's you know, that says a lot, and that'll help the club a lot in the future. So, you know, I mean, Walsh, if his body holds up, he's got another 10 years in the game. A guy of his quality isn't, you know, he'll have a spot in an NRL team somewhere. So if the Warriors keep hold of him, he's a franchise player.
Yeah, definitely a player you can really start to shape a team around.
Yeah.
As for mine,
Yep.
I'm trying to remember who I wrote on my notes, but I really can't remember. I think Adam Fanua-Blake probably stood out a bit to me. Like, he was obviously one of the big name signings for the year, coming from Manly, the big tough forward who puts in work. I feel like he came and was probably one of their more consistent performers. I'm not sure if I'd call him the team's MVP, but he was definitely up there for consistency, I guess.
Yeah. He was definitely a good buy, that's for sure.
What about their highlight?
That's a hard one. Trying to think.
Why don't I tell you mine while you're thinking?
Yeah, you tell me. You address it while I'm thinking, because this. That's ominous.
Trying to get the brain ticking.
Yeah, because I'm just having to think. There's a few decent, like, I can think of individual plays more than games overall, I guess.
Yeah. So I've got the highlight and the low light in 2 consecutive weeks. The highlight,
Interesting.
yeah, they really went from one to the other. So I've got the highlight, the round 20 win against the Tigers, against all the odds.
See, I was tempted to say that, but I kind of was trying not to be upsetting.
I mean,
they played well. They played
Just
well
say
in
it.
that game. That is probably one of their better games this year. Like, yeah, it was really good. So, I don't know. I'll agree with that. I can't see any reason to disagree with that.
I had to go out and do it pretty much against the odds. It was kind of one of those games where they weren't expected to win. They were decimated by injury, and
yeah, no, because
a lot of the players playing out of position really stood up for them. It was a really good effort.
It was one of those really annoying games where I tipped the Tigers and they screwed me over. One of a few this year.
Don't worry, the Tigers do that to me often.
Yeah, so I know what it feels like to be a Tigers fan. You get your hopes up and then they just shove it right back in your face.
Another part of the reason why I'm so surprised I ended up finishing 3rd in that tipping comp.
Oh,
Just because I tip the Tigers so often and it normally backfires on me.
Oh, hey, Justin, how are you?
Welcome, Justin.
You missed last time, but yeah, we've got a bit of faith in your Broncos for next year with Adam Reynolds coming. Well, I remember I think I'm tipping them.
You have more faith in them than I do.
Yeah, but just that forward pack with Adam Reynolds, I don't know. That's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I didn't give them as much hope for next year. I gave them more hope for 2023. I basically said that next year for them will be the last of their rebuilding years, and they'll start to really shape up good for 2023.
If I remember correctly, what I said about them was they'll be one of those teams where you can beat them, but you'll just have to be a bit better to do it. Yeah.
And if you can get on top of them and nullify the forward pack,
you're
going to kill them.
Like, I don't think I think they'll have a hard time being consistent against the top 4 particularly. But I think they can they can shock that lower half of the 8 if they can stay switched on, like that mental attitude they had against us. Broncos eyeing Reid Mahoney in 2023. I hadn't heard that yet. If they get him, that's insane.
That's a very good pickup for 2023.
Like what you were saying about the the rebuilding years there, like 2023 is going to be insane if they get him.
Yeah, it'd be amazing service from dummy half to Adam Reynolds, and like that's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we agreed on that. They're low light. I'm just gonna say not making the 8.
That's a very reasonable low light. My low light for them was the round 19 thumping at the hands of the Rabbits.
Oh, 60 points. Yeah.
60-12, I think it was, or 60-16.
22.
60-22.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I did write it down, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
We had some minor technical issues.
Minor? You call that minor?
Wait till you see a major one.
Yeah, don't do that to me.
Like that is obviously a huge. That's probably like their lowest point of the season individually. I just think after the years they've had with COVID and all that sort of stuff, and just would have been, I don't know, I guess personally nice for me to see, just to watch them make the finals and RTS's final year to go out like that and everything. It just would have been there. So I guess that overall big picture disappointment. So you've probably got 2 low moments, that loss individually as a game, and then the season as a whole. The
Yeah, they
macro and the
didn't really
micro.
get there. They didn't really find their groove. It was kind of a season of just, they never really got going. They'd get a win or 2 wins, but then they just go back very far down.
Yeah.
Just nothing was working for them.
Yeah. Early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022.
Looking at those signings, I honestly don't see very much going right for them next year compared to some of the other teams and how they're improving. So
yeah,
I've got them falling right down to the bottom 4, and I'm thinking 15th.
Yeah, I agree with the bottom 4. Unfortunately, Fusatua signed with the Rhinos in 2022.
Yeah, that's a bit of a loss as well.
Yeah,
like, that's a very recent loss.
It's not like they've got, like we were saying about the Broncos, with rebuilding, you can see that the plan and the build and the improvement and whatnot. I don't really see that with the Warriors. Like Walsh will develop as an individual player, but the roster overall doesn't like strike me with any particular confidence. Like if I put myself in as a fan for a minute of that team, if I was looking at that and that was my team, I wouldn't be like super confident of making the 8. It actually reminds me a lot of the pre-2010 Panthers, to be honest.
Also, like I said last week, obviously this is a very early prediction, and obviously there's a lot of signings and a lot of other things that can happen between now and the season. So these tips are subject to change.
Like maybe when it's closer to like round 1, then we can actually see what's happening, and we might actually lock in some maybe an actual ladder prediction or something that we can that we can come back to at the end of the year and go, oh, this is what we did. But for now, obviously, we've got lack of information. Like the one thing Brown did at Newcastle, a lot of people criticize his coaching, but I thought he built a reasonable roster based with the options he had.
Yeah, and he really put a focus in the juniors.
So, I mean, if he can get that happening, maybe in another 12, 24 months, we'll start to see some green shoots happening. But yeah, I think they're at that just sort of middling stage again.
Also, a 3rd season in Australia is going to make it even harder for them. But they will get some games in New Zealand, I believe, if the Trans-Tasman bubble reopens. And if they get like 3 to 4 home games or something, those are going to be some really good chances for them to get some momentum, find some fire. So there is the potential there, but it's hard to see at the moment.
Like, it might sound a bit weird, but when the time comes that's all good again, I think the Warriors should get an entire home season.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I think the NRL should come up with a draw that gives them an entire home season. Done. You do not have to leave home. You play all your home games there. Let's let the New Zealand fans get that, and the New Zealand players and the club and everything have some kind of reward. Because, I mean, they're the ones who sacrificed to make this happen. Like, we could have maybe not had them and had bye rounds, but that's kind of shit.
I'd even give them a portion of their away games in New Zealand as well, so they have to leave home even less.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is all home.
Take a magic round down there.
That's what I'm saying. Is all home. They should have a season where all home and away games for the Warriors for one season is in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Even if like their away games, say their home games are at home, and then maybe their away games they travel to another ground in New Zealand or something. Give fans over there.
That'd be great.
Like, give fans over there something to enjoy. Give back a bit to them and the club, because then they'll have the short trips and they'll be able to sort of enjoy being back home and all that sort of stuff. So that's just what I think. Get onto it, Blandies. Do it.
Do you like the idea of a magic round in Auckland as well?
I think that'd be awesome.
Mount Smart magic round.
Get like
the 2022 has been booked in, so 2023 maybe.
Get that party atmosphere going. I'm sure they could really set it off, so that'd be good. I think that'd be great for the game over there. Like I said, they sacrificed 2 years worth that the club have there. Just go all in. It's not going to hurt the game in any way, I don't think, to give them that. Like, how many fans, like members, would care that, oh, when my team plays the Warriors, they're going over there this time? I'm not going to be that upset.
No, because the people of New Zealand bloody well deserve it.
Yeah. So, there we go. Get onto it, NRL. Do it now. We'll wait. We're going to wait right here for your confirmation. Yeah, I'll pull up the news feed. I'm waiting on it any second now.
Breaking.
We did it. Justin, which team?
We the people.
Power to the people. Which team would miss out in 2023 Magic Round? Because every round teams will get a bye.
Yeah, that's going to suck.
That's going to suck, yes. And it's actually a good question.
Make it the Broncos.
If they got to host Magic Round, don't get greedy.
Yeah, if it's at Suncorp again, they get enough home games there to begin with, and obviously this year they had a fair chunk of their away games there as well. So give them a Magic Round bye and let them not get that extra home game.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess all you can do is, if the Magic Round is a set thing each year from now on, all you can do is rotate and give a different team each year the bye that round.
Yeah, that was actually a really good question, Justin. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, it didn't even cross my mind. But I think the only way to do it fairly is to say, right, each year a different team will get the bye that round.
I reckon
I don't know.
for the first one in 2023, it'll be random, because I don't know exactly how they do the draw. But I think they'll have the round picked in advance. They might choose some matchup that they want to have as part of the round.
Yeah, like, there's so much that goes into it. There's so much that goes into it, like getting rivalry games played twice a year, and then there's the money that comes in from the broadcasters, so they have a say in what games they want and when they want them, and there's a bunch of different things that go into deciding the draw. So that'll probably be one of the last considerations. They'll probably just go, this is where it's all happening, and this is the team who coincidentally get it. They probably won't even think about it when they do the draw.
Well, it's been early to mid-May. Both years they've done it so far, it's been like early, middle of May. So they'll pick a round somewhere around there, wherever it falls.
Yeah, and it'll just be whoever happens to get the bye that round. That's how it happens. I
Yeah, pretty
honestly,
much.
I honestly don't think that the NRL, like the fans will put thought into it, heaps of thought into it. I don't think the NRL will consider it even a tiny bit.
You reckon the fans of whichever team gets stiffed in 2023 will be upset?
Um, if they're local to where it's played, like say they all play at Suncorp, and that team's fans are like, we're hoping to go watch them at Suncorp or something that week, then I think they would be annoyed. But generally speaking, I don't think it'll matter too much.
I reckon it'll end up being an out-of-state team. They'll have all 4 Queensland teams plus Melbourne, because Melbourne are essentially a Queensland team,
Yeah,
involved in the Magic Round in one way, shape, or form. So it'll be either the Raiders or a New South Wales team,
yeah.
or maybe even the Warriors.
Well, I mean, chances are it'll be a New South Wales team because there's more of them.
Yeah, there's like 9 of the bloody things.
I mean, just statistically speaking, the random chance of it happening is more likely.
Yeah, especially if my theory about them keeping all of the Queensland-based teams in ends up being accurate.
Imagine how stupid they would look to have a Queensland-based Magic Round and then have one of the Queensland-based team miss out.
Yeah, that'd be silly.
Oh, that's not like egg on your face. That's the whole carton right there.
It's just dumped that on your head.
I know. I think as long as the teams from that state play, I think it'll be fine. But they said it's I think that covers all of our 6 questions for the Warriors.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, sorry, Warrior Bros. I would love to see them make the 8, just for the record, before sounding too negative. I know it sounds a bit down, saying, "Oh, they'll be bottom 4," but that's not the heart talking. I can assure you that's the head, and just looking at the roster and what it's presenting us right at this very moment, in time. So
I'm pretty much just like, hey, there are 12 or 13 teams I'd like to see make the 8. 3 or 4 teams that I absolutely despise and would rather see finish in a 4-way tie for the wooden spoon. But obviously, 16, let alone 12, doesn't go into 8.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I'm getting soft in my old age, so I just want to see everyone make the 8. Come on, guys. And it's like, no, there's only 8 spots. So the math does not check out, unfortunately.
Does not compute.
All right, so before skipping to the Dragons, which is the next team, quickly, it did come out today. Penrith players got their fines from the NRL with their partying. I have to say, thought it was an absolute joke. The players getting fined for the trophy getting broken. It was an accident. They were drunk, messing around, whatever. It's happened before. The Storm guys did it, without feeding it like a baby, whatever. Like, I think the only stupid part about it is what this need about everyone putting everything on social media these days. Like, to that extent, like, use it a bit, sure, great, fantastic, but like, holy crap.
Yeah, like maybe every team does it, but the Panthers were the ones who were silly enough to post it.
Yeah, like the Storm did theirs.
What's bitten them in the bum.
Yeah, the Storm did theirs. It was on social media. There's pictures floating around. We all saw it last year. No, the Tyrone May one though was the one where he kind of, I don't know what he was trying to get at with what his intentions were, all that sort of stuff, But
was that the same night as the grand final? Did he do that on grand final night, or was it the day after?
If I remember correctly, it was that night after they won, when they were all first, still buzzing and getting hammered and all that. And
slightly intoxicated.
Yeah, slightly. But I think, they left the NRL and the club with no choice on that one. Whatever his intentions were, I have my own thoughts on that, but the optics on it is really bad, and the game can't afford that. I mean, you look at that the NRL wants to pump up women in league round, and then you've got that sort of stuff. Like, it's not a good look. So they had to do something, and for the club to sort of stand him down indefinitely, whatever that means. I think there's a board meeting or something where they'll discuss it. So they'll probably decide what they're going to do then.
I reckon he'll be shit canned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
Straight out the door.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that stuff works internally. Whether, you know, maybe sponsors or something might say to the club, "Hey guys, we're not too, keen having our brand be sort of paraded around by, something like that." I don't know if that's the sort of stuff that happens with football clubs and that. I know when the Bulldogs had issues, I think there was talk they lost a sponsor or something.
They lost their major sponsor, Kia.
Yeah, that's the one.
From the incident with the Port Macquarie schoolgirls.
Yeah, that's
when they had
the
their
one.
camp up there, and it was who was it? It was Harawira Naira
And Ockenball, who
Yeah.
got basically booted, and then they challenged it with the independent, whatever they are, who then reinstated them basically. So yeah, whatever works. Whatever, that's up to them. But yeah, so we have seen. I don't know if they said that's the sort of thing that happens where sponsors will put pressure on clubs, I guess. So I don't know. It'll be up to them to work
Particularly
out.
the I'd say particularly the whoever sponsored the jersey he predominantly played in, which was number 14.
Well, yeah, you'll have the individual sponsor, but also we have a giant oat milk, branding across the front of the Panthers jerseys. They're the major sponsor, and they're the ones who are really visible. So, and they're obviously a big company. If they get irritated, not saying that, it's just hypothetical, but if they got a bit irritated and said, "Hey guys, we're a very big major sponsor here, and we don't like this," but
Cease and desist.
Yeah, that'll be. I think, like I said, I think they're having a board meeting or something at some point. So they'll discuss it there and see what happens. But honestly, I can't see it going too well for him, because it's not like he's not, with a star player who is just irresistible, because, okay, if the club sacks him, he's going to go to another team and then contribute to them beating you. That's usually when clubs, a lot of people say that's when clubs will keep a player, because they don't want to just be contributing to other teams getting stronger.
Mm. Do you really think someone would pick up Tyrone, though?
Nobody's picking up Tyrone May in the NRL. I can't see it.
Yeah, he'll be leaving the country to play more football for sure.
Yeah, pre-ACL and timeout before he's, caught stuff and all that, I could maybe see it because he had skills and whatnot. But since his timeout and then he did his knee and that, he just hasn't come back the same. So,
yeah,
I mean, even excluding his off-field stuff, like if his contract was coming up like it is this year and all that, like the form he's in, if he was just a normal regular player running around, I couldn't see too many clubs offering him a contract. You look at Ash Taylor, who's got twice the upside, even though his form hasn't been as good. He's got twice the potential, and he's still only getting a train and trial with a team who missed the 8.
Yeah, like wild.
That sort of gives you an indication of where the player market is at.
And it's going to get so much worse when the new team is added for next year. Well,
exactly.
This time next year, when they'll have signed, I'd say, at least 20 of their 30 players.
Yeah. And you can...
Mr. Wayne Bennett's going to be very, very busy.
Yeah, and you can bet your ass
during season 2022.
They're not going to be signing a guy like him, because coming in as a new team, they're going to need their reputation to be like on point.
Immaculate.
So, unfortunately, that's where I see that. But, that's on him, I guess, and the club to deal with now. But, yeah, I just think he left them with no choice. He should have just...
Pretty much.
He just should have just chilled out, had his fun. I don't understand why he had to do that. I know it probably would have hurt to go through all the stuff, like, personally, and, he did the wrong thing, and he copped a lot of shit and still copped shit for it, so maybe that's what motivated it. But you've got to just, all you can do is just better yourself after that sort of stuff. But when you post something like that, at least gives the appearance of that you haven't learnt. Even if you have, just you can't be doing that. Like it's it's the optics are terrible.
Just stupid.
Like
Absolute stupid.
even Greg Alexander, even Brandy, there was a quote from him in an article at one point where he said, he need to pull his head in, like, so, and he's on the board. Like, if this is one of our board members saying it, well, he's gonna have to be a bit careful. All right, so now that's addressed, we can all move on and be happy. But yes, it was a joke that they got fined over the trophy thing. Right, but that's just me.
I mean, I can understand their reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't want to be disrespectful to two of the greatest icons of the game, one of whom has just passed away.
Yeah, sure, you don't want that, but they couldn't foresee that he was going to pass away that soon. And I don't think they would have ever intentionally disrespected those guys personally. I think it was more just, he's this inanimate object. Caption. Yeah, he's this inanimate object that, got broken in front of us, and they're really drunk, so that it's not like when they're that wasted, they're going to be thinking of the symbolism behind the trophy or anything like that. I mean, like I said, the Storm guys did pretty much the same stuff. So, these players, when they're absolutely smashed out of their heads because they're celebrating a grand final, they're going to do some silly stuff.
Especially considering those celebrations lasted quite some time.
Yeah, like a couple of days worth. And hey, go for it, whatever. Just maybe next time have a no phone policy or something. And just have like a sober media manager who can take some photos here and there. The club can
of things that cannot be misconstrued in horrible ways.
Yeah, exactly. Have like the club censor them or something and be like, okay, this one's good. That one's definitely going in the fire. This one makes me want to gouge my eyes out.
There's plenty of that.
Oh, yeah. Justin, Dragon strength for next year would be the forward pack, in my opinion.
If you completely discount Aaron Woods, I'll agree.
Well, I thought that was the Batuta, the satire paper that comes out they do there.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw that, I thought that was the Batuta article. I'm like, for the life of me, I was like, man, that's a good one actually. That's cool. I like it. And then I realized that they were being legit. I was like in a state of shock for a little while. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was questionable to say the least. Anyway, let's get into it. I will issue an apology to Dragons fans right off the bat. They were my wooden spoon tip for this year.
They were a few people's, just quietly. Saw a lot of it around.
Yeah, I saw a lot of it around as well.
I remember you sharing.
Not quite a general consensus, but
but I do remember you sharing the videos showing the people's ladder predictions where they had Tigers bottom 4, and a lot of those had the Dragons quite low too. So it's not like you were specifically being unfair to them. A lot of people saw a bad year for the Dragons coming.
Yeah, and I think even the Dragons fans got off the Dragons bus particularly after McInnes went down, and then when they got shellacked in the Charity Shield.
Yeah, I don't think there's very few times I can ever remember a fan base just completely and utterly just washing the hands of their team. It was crazy.
I checked Twitter during one of the Dragons trial matches. I think it was the trial between them and Parramatta. I don't remember if that was their first one or their second one.
Yeah,
I think they had one against the Sharks. I think they had the trial against the Sharks, the trial against Para, and then the Charity Shield. And at halftime in the one against Parramatta, most people were saying, "Can we just call this game over? They're going to finish with the spoon anyway," and stuff like that. It was pretty depressing to read, actually. Like, that's coming from their own fans.
Yeah, how imagine that. Like, and I posted it to Reddit just to get people's ideas because with our 6 questions, it's always fun to see what fans think, and the media are always doing this sort of stuff at the end of the year, and I think fans are the ones who know their teams best, honestly, most intimately. And Dragons fan, they predicted 13th or 14th, so 11th was decent, they said. This is Corso Harry on Reddit. Their highlight was Tarek Sims charge down try. That was pretty good to watch live, actually. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, that was a great try.
Their low light was Corey Norman's last touch. Silver lining is that it was his last touch.
Gold.
Yeah, I think it gives you an idea of a lot of people. Dragons fans were particularly off Corey Norman. Funny enough, MVP, they named Ben Hunt.
Yeah, that one surprised me.
So it goes to show. I think he's sort of shaking off that 2015 vibe slowly.
Except for when everyone brings it up in the media.
Like, I think
whenever he does something similar, it's pretty crap.
Yeah, like
the Fox League page did it, and they got absolutely blasted in the comments for doing it.
Because fans
are promoting player welfare, and here you are making a player relive probably one of his darkest days.
Exactly, like fans have kind of moved on from it now a bit. Like you might see the odd joke here and there, but overall now he's shown he is a quality player. He just has to be consistent. That's his only real issue now. Like,
pretty much.
If you came to me with, the option, right, you have to sign one of these players, and it's, Ben Hunt, Ash Taylor, or Tyrone May, for example,
like Ben Hunt.
I'd be taking Ben Hunt in a heartbeat, like an absolute heartbeat, so. They said for rookie, they said Tyrell Sloan. Yeah, he looks really good. I really liked him. I actually agree with that.
I didn't see too much of him. For my rookie, I went Ramsey because he played a fair chunk of footy and showed that he, for lack of a better phrase, knew what he was doing.
Yeah. It looks like he does need a bit of consistent time, but I think he'll be all right. Yeah. Because they've got a couple of good young blokes. Like you've got Amon as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Ramsey's the one who got the most time out of all their new blokes. So it is hard to sort of say anyone else. Like he definitely looks like he belongs. He just needs, I don't know. The problem they've got... I
don't even know how many games Sloan got. Don't think it was that many.
No. Like I said, I think they had... Those other guys got 1 or 2 each, where Ramsey got quite a lot. But, these poor young blokes, though, with Anthony Griffin there, who I do not rate as a coach in the slightest.
Nah.
Highlight of their season.
I was really impressed with how well early season they shook off pretty much everyone's poor prediction. They went on that winning run for 4 weeks from rounds 2 to 5, which included that really, really good win over Para.
Like that's definitely got to be their high point, right? Like because I remember tipping them. I'm pretty sure I tipped them as just for the fun of it. It was a bit of a meme tip. It was still early in the season. I wasn't really, overthinking it. And then they won. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
They beat Para at Bankwest.
And they played really well to do it.
Absolutely, they
did. It's not as though they did not Bradbury that by any means.
No. They worked very bloody hard.
So, that's definitely probably their high point for me there.
Their low point, I said, was their shellacking at the hands of the Rabbits. I think it was in round 20. They that was the moment where we were like, yeah, that's the end of their chances of finals. They didn't really recover from it.
Yeah. But, so, early thoughts on how they're shaping up for 2022. something similar. They'll have, with Anthony Griffin as coach, they'll have some good weeks. Like they'll be fit and have a bit of mental toughness about him, I guess. But at least that's what I saw from him when he coached us. But like our record when he coached us against the top 4 was really bad, and I think it'll be similar. Like they'll be a club that's, yeah. I don't think they'll make the 8, but they'll be very similar.
I've got them dropping down to 14th. I don't. My main thing is some of their signings have been rather questionable.
Well, Aaron Woods, which we just talked about then, like that was, I can't even.
Plus, who they've lost and who they've let go.
Well, McInnes leaving has to be the big one, right? That's.
Oh yeah, that was massive. Like that was a loss that happened before the season even started, and yeah, that was a big one.
You can't go past that. It's, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very good for them. Honestly, I'd almost be willing to tip them as my wooden spooners for next year.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see how you feel about that later in the, like closer to the start of the season.
Closer to round 1, we'll do an actual proper ladder prediction when we have more information on rosters. But I don't know. I just got that little voice.
We'll both do our own, and we'll compare them post-season, and we'll see who got closest.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be good. I got that little voice in the back of my mind that's just, I didn't think they were going to get it this year, but I thought they were going to be pretty bad this year, though, after McInnes went down, to be fair. But no, they look worse next year than they do this year, I think.
Yeah, they don't look all that great. I mean, they've made some good signings, but they've lost a lot of quality.
Yeah, so
I think out of the signings they've made so far for next year, I expect, well, Moses Suli is going to be the big wild card, but I think he's got the most potential.
Yeah.
My main concern about Moses Suli is, will Anthony Griffin be able to keep him on the straight and narrow that Des kept him on at Manly? Because it was very clear that he didn't work out at the Tigers. He then didn't work out at the Dogs.
And look at Manly. Even at Manly, he's sort of been a depth for them.
Yeah, and he started off having to play for Blacktown Workers as well, because he signed that reserve grade contract and got upgraded during whatever season that happened in. I think it was 18 or 19.
So yeah, it's going to take those young guys who look massively talented, like a year or 2 of development to really get into the NRL. So even if they're going to rely on them, which is something Anthony Griffin does, is junior development and all that. Well, apparently, according to him at least.
How do you reckon George Burgess is going to go coming back from England?
What
do you reckon we can expect of him?
Either similar than he was, or worse. Like, I'm not seeing him come back and just tearing up.
Not going to set the world on fire?
No.
Is he going to go back to gouging people's eyes out?
Well, hey, that's the question, isn't it?
But a la Robbie Farah, that I think copped him in like a 9-week suspension.
That's rough. But the game, the way it is now, I don't know. Maybe if we're playing under the exact same rules and nothing had changed, maybe come back and be like, yeah, I'm sweet, I'm good, but like the 6 again rule now in and all this stuff happening and everything's different and coaches and players have to adjust, and it's like, it's going to be a big culture shift from coming over here now. Like, as far as a player is concerned anyway.
I'm very curious about if they're going to make any changes to the rules from this year, particularly around the 6 again, if they're going to revert to the 2020 version of it.
But surely they have to realize that teams are absolutely taking the piss on the first and second tackle with that, right?
Yeah.
Every single team does it.
It's being coached into them.
Absolutely.
Like, here's a way to exploit it. Get your defense back on track.
Yeah.
Cop the extra tackle or 2. No big deal.
Yeah, like you can see it. They're like, hey, this isn't actually a punishment. First tackle, team's on their own try line. Let's do this.
And then your whole defensive line's reset.
Yep. And then you don't really need to give them away because the attacking team's already stuffed. So, like, if they don't address that, they're absolutely taking the piss with it. It's like those teams are just flaunting the hell out of it, and they don't care that it's like they're doing it and they're rubbing your face in it that they're doing it and getting away with it.
It's as blatant as night and day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, and here we go, a team that can get absolutely stuffed because I thought they would be so much better than they were.
Hey, same here.
But they just imploded somehow out of nowhere. What the hell happened? The Canberra Raiders.
I had them finishing third. They were also my tip to win the grand final.
Yeah, I thought they'd be top 4.
They were my grand final winner. So that
Jesus Christ.
That went to shit really quickly.
That is a big difference.
In my defense, though, no one saw them losing. I think it was 6 out of the first 8 games or whatever, or six out of the first 9 or 10 games or whatever. With second half disasters. No one saw that coming.
The faders were back.
The faders of old.
Like, that was... I can't even with that. That was crazy. They'd been so good. They built nicely from like 2016 and they sort of built up, and they're like, okay, they've found their groove, and then just crashed hard.
Yeah, because what was it? So I think they finished second in 2016. Lost in the prelim. 2017 missed the finals. 2018 back to the finals. I think that was another prelim loss. 2019 the grand final loss.
Yeah, like
2020 back to the prelims again, and they just capitulated in spectacular fashion in 2021.
There was a pretty clear progression of, you know, you can see the improvement coming. And it's funny that they had that round 1 game against you guys, 30-12, and they just like, you thought, okay, makes sense, they're gonna be top 14.
And they beat the Sharks the week after.
Yeah, 12-0. Like okay, we've gone, 2 from 2 here, and then they got beat by the Warriors.
In their defense, though, the Warriors won with a try that was like 5 meters forward. The past 5 meters forward.
Granted, but still, like, the Raiders from 2019 wouldn't have lost that game.
No, not at all.
Forward pass or not, they still would have won that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the one that they had the injuries in?
Yeah, they had like one player on the bench after like 16 or 17 minutes.
So yeah, I mean that contributed. They clearly died in the ass at the end because of that, but still, I don't know. It
still took a mammoth effort from from RTS.
I mean, I can't blame them too much, I guess, but
save that game.
They were so good defensively. I still, like, the last couple of years, I don't know. I think they still would have won that game.
Yeah.
Like, this is a team who were essentially the Melbourne Storm's bogey team at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, they were the only team that could beat them on a regular basis.
Exactly. Like, these were giant killers. This was the team. Like, if someone was going to take it to the comp, these guys were going to do it. I quite enjoyed watching them play. I don't know.
It's just an off year.
Yeah. So, on the Reddit post, we've got not a robotic fish. One word, by the way. So, cool name. Prediction, like us, top 4. Number 2, what was the highlight of their season? Beating the Eels or Xavier Savage's 2 games are the only particularly good highlights. Round 1 was alright because it was my birthday too, I guess. Oh, happy birthday on that. One man's misery is another man's celebration.
Yeah. Well, they were given that game by the referees. I maintain that with how quick their line speed was allowed to be. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe just Tigers salty fan speaking, or salty Tigers fan speaking, but anyway.
But again, like that's something granted because obviously you're a fan of that team and we all hyper focus on our team. But that's another thing that needs addressing across the NRL is the offsides. It's another one of those blatant things that happens almost every tackle.
Like I think it was during that game, Josh from the Westlife podcast was posting pictures of his TV screen and just how far offside they were before the ball had even been played.
I remember that. Because yes, I follow him on Twitter.
There is something going wrong there.
And it's understandable. It happens so many times where people are like, this team is staying like a mile offside. The whole get them on side ref meme from the crowd thing it was born for a reason.
Yep. And then you look at a lot of the times in that game, particularly in that second half, especially while we were still only 6 or 12 points out of it, a lot of it was we didn't get to do much with the ball because by the time the ball had been passed from dummy half, the Raiders defenders were already up ready to tackle the receiver.
Yeah, and it happens a lot. If you watch, it's crazy. You guys, this is from Justin. You guys saw Fox League's 2022 NRL teams lineup predictions. Are there those posts they've been putting up where they do? I think I saw a few. I haven't seen them all properly yet.
Yeah, they did all of them in an article, and some of them confuddle me. They've put Adam Dewey back in the centres for the Tigers.
I got to admit, I started getting really fed up of trying to keep up with the NRL news cycle because for a while there it was just all how evil are the Panthers. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to step away and just enjoy the fact that we're the premiers.
On the bright side, they've stopped talking about the Tigers for the most part. Unlike finals week 1 where it was Tigers, 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 Madge, Tigers, Tigers, Madge, Madge, Madge.
You're welcome. They don't call us Catbros for nothing.
No, we dominated the headlines throughout the final series and post grand final.
What is it with Western Sydney?
Another article that we could talk about briefly after we've done these reviews. Yep. They did an article about each team's premiership window.
That'll be an interesting one to look at. Maybe we definitely keep that up our sleeve. I wouldn't mind actually having a look at that at some point. I'd be keen to see what they say.
I might be able to chuck it in the Discord, and if we run out of time tonight, we can.
Yeah, we probably won't get to it tonight because
look at it next week.
Obviously, some people have bedtimes.
Yeah, and I still need dinner.
Yes, and I got 2 babies who happen to be teething at the same time, so they neither want to sleep, and nobody's sleeping.
Yikes!
We can't even say the word sleep in our house, or you get in trouble. So yeah, it's good fun. And the problem is when they tease, then they get worse nappy rash too. So then you get more problems. That's great.
It spirals out of control.
Oh, it does. I'm surprised. Like, the house hasn't burned down. It's like meteors, and it's like just complete apocalypse at this point. Yeah. So this person with their low light, where to start? So not a robotic fish. Where to start? George Williams drama. Before I even go any further, I'm going to agree with that. That was crap how that played out. That was
dumb.
And I would not be surprised if the way all that media stuff happened and players, I would not be surprised if that contributed to the way their season played out.
I'd probably extend that to the Josh Hodgson drama as well.
Yeah. The way they dealt with these things work out. I don't
Unrest.
know. Yeah, just there was too much unsettledness in the club, and I think they should just try to keep it in house as much as possible. Yeah, this guy's he has a list. Pathetic loss to the Roosters with a final spot on the line. Cowboys lost. Both Knights losses. The one that stands out to me the most is the Titans loss. However, I'd have to go back to the days of David Furness since I'd ever been so disgusted in a Raiders performance. It's one thing to get smashed by a good team, but to get 40 put on you by the Titans was a complete embarrassment. Oof, I'd forgotten about that. Where was that? Let's flick through the Raiders draw.
The round 16.
Yes, 44-6. I'd forgotten about that. That's big ouch.
Yeah, so did I.
I am not surprised they've singled that out for a bit of disgust because that's pretty bad. Like,
just back to their highlight really quick.
Yep.
I said the round 17 win against Manly. They were not expected to win that game at all because, Manly are Manly. But they got out to a really good lead really quickly. The Faders returned, but they held on. And I think that was probably the most impressive part, was that they managed to hold on to a team that were coming back at them with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And ended up winning 30-16 with scoring in late on.
Yeah. That's a pretty good game, especially, the week before. The week before was that Titans game where they got smashed.
Yeah.
So, coming off that to do that's pretty good.
Good recovery.
If anybody had bothered to stay the whole game, it was like 1 degree and the game was over at half time. So I don't blame people who went home early. Plus, there weren't that many people there in the first place because it was the last weekend with crowds. They would have been booed off and deserved it. Yeah, he was a bit disappointed. The MVP, they've said Jordan Rapana.
Yeah, I think he won the club's player of the year as well.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Nickel Klokstad, I don't know, they changed the pronunciation of the name. I can't get it right, but
Klokstad.
Yeah, where he said the actual where he apparently didn't know the pronunciation, then he learnt it, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, bit of family history there. He probably would have got it if it wasn't for his long-term injury.
I'd say so. Yeah,
really good.
While he was playing well.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm a big fan of him. Great player and really good guy off the field too. Gives back to the fans a lot and really nice guy. So their reasoning is on Rapana, he looked kind of washed in 2020. Most people thought it would be his last year, but he turned back the clock and carried our team a lot of the time. Special mention goes to CHN, Corey Harawira and Naira. He got dropped after one mediocre game after having been our best player for a month, while some other players are seemingly undroppable, but he was still one of the shining lights.
It was a shame his season got ended early due to that suspension for a tackle that just went wrong.
Yeah, but you look at that. It's funny, some people compared that to the Latrell Mitchell hit on Manu and the difference in reactions, where you saw Corey was very remorseful straight away off the bat. Like he was genuinely upset with it that it had happened.
Not only that, but the Madison one as well against Manly that happened not long later. Was it the very next day or the next round or whatever?
Off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah, Madison copped a big suspension for a tackle that was pretty similar, and he acted as if he was innocent. Like he protested.
Yeah, what? Me? No. So yeah, it goes to show the difference. So I just liked his reaction to it. I thought, it was good to be a bit like, hey, these things happen. Like, there's no sense.
He was crazy apologetic on the socials as well.
Yeah, and then they had that afterwards. That was kind of wholesome, the way they chatted with each other and whatnot. So that was kind of cool to watch. I really like that. So,
like, Jerome Hughes himself didn't remember too much of what had happened, but
yeah,
he appreciated the apology and said some nice words as well. It just played out really nicely. And
Yeah.
then Arawira Naira admitted that he was going to accept whatever punishment was handed down to him. Like, he wasn't going to protest or anything. He was just going to
Yeah.
cop it.
So, I mean, how many times do you see that happen where it's like, no, I'm good. I'll just take what's coming. I deserve it. Like, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, it was humility. It's probably a good word for it.
Yeah. Question number 5 is obviously about their rookie. Not a Robotic Fish has said Xavier Savage.
I said Harley Smith Shields. I really liked what Harley showed throughout his appearances for the team.
Yeah.
But I can agree with Savage, even though he didn't play that much.
I'm
got
going
kind of an illegal debut.
To be fair, it's the NRL's fault. Ricky Shields sitting there getting confused, like, what the fuck am I doing?
He played for what, 12 minutes before he was set back off.
See what happens when you're changing rules mid-season. Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
but no,
wild.
I think he'll be like their version, their Dane Laurie, like that super skillful guy who's gonna be pretty special. So I really, I like the little bit that we saw of him. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. He looks really dangerous. Early thoughts on how they're shaping for next year. Can I say no flipping idea? Is that an answer?
Reasonable. Fairly reasonable. Is that you, or is that Not a Robotic Fish?
No, so I'll read Not a Robotic Fish. He's got a bit of a paragraph, but we'll see what they say. And then we've made some good moves so far. I like Fogarty signing a lot. Something that hasn't got too much attention is that Mick Crawley has come back as our attacking coach. He was, in brackets, he was the attacking coach from 2015 to 2018 when we were all attack, no defense, as well in 2008 when he got Colin Best to Dally M Winger of the Year. So hopefully Jack finds his form again. So hopefully that should help our attack less stagnant. Honestly, I don't really have any idea how we'll go next year. Maybe Jack finds his form again, and moving on some of the aging players will give way to some excitement and determination like Penrith have shown. Having Xavier Savage for the whole season should hopefully be a big bonus too. People maybe forget that despite how much we underperformed, we weren't completely shit in 2021. Though we were very shit. And he actually said that. He put it in brackets.
Shit based on recent standards anyway.
Yes. If we had played the whole season like we did the second half, we would have easily made the top 8.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Other than that Titans loss.
And that's why I like struggle so much mentally with them. It's like they are literally very black and white team, like alternative, that perfectly inconsistent team where they can be really awesome and they can also be really shit, at least this year. Whereas the last couple of years they were super consistent and reliable, so you could sort of you could tip them reliably, but yeah. But as I said, they explained they've got some roster moves happening, so hopefully that'll sort it out for them. Alternatively, Ricky could continue to piss off the senior players and make boneheaded selection and tactical choices. Jack continues to play awfully, Fogarty is disappointing, and Savage gets injured again, and we continue the decline from last year. So all in all, we will finish somewhere between 1st and 16th.
I mean, I agree. I reckon they'll finish somewhere between 1st and 16th as well.
Like, I'm
very reasonable prediction there, I reckon.
Honestly, I think I'm going to say they're probably going to be right. I don't think it's going to happen any other way.
In all seriousness, though, I've actually got them making it back into the top 8 next year. I really think that they're going to have learnt a lot from this year. They'll have learnt a lot from the disaster that was 2021, and I think Ricky will get them heading in the right direction with the young guys getting a lot of experience this year. So I think it'll be good for them in the long run. I don't have them back in the top 4. I have them in 6th.
Yeah, I kind of just agree with that. It's like, I think they have the roster to make the top 8 easily. But a lot will depend on how Ricky Stewart handles the season. Like, at least from an
and
outside,
how they bounce back from this year.
yeah, from an outside perspective, it looked like he kind of messed it up in the way he handled players. So he's got to be a better manager, and then they can be all right. Justin says new Rabbits coach confirms that Walker will be wearing the number 6 jersey. Milford, Taff, and Illis are nominees for the halfback spot. Who you guys reckon will partner Cody? Well, I'll say straight up, it's not going to be Milford.
No, hell no.
I
think it'll be probably Taff, because Latrell will be back at. Well, Taff will obviously start the season at fullback while Latrell sits out his last. Is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, once Latrell comes back, he's fullback. So whatever, that's the bulk of their season is going to be Mitchell at fullback unless he messes up again.
Which is likely.
Which, unfortunately, he gets so worked up and fired up, something's going to happen.
And like, he's got the prize now, so if he does anything, he's copping a hefty suspension. No matter what he does, he's copping a suspension.
Because he's going to start getting into Jack Hetherington territory soon, if not already.
I think he's pretty close to it if he's not there yet.
Yeah. So the one I will say for sure, I'm pretty confident that it won't be Milford. My favourite, I guess, would be Taff. I mean, he's just played through the final series. He's got the big game experience now. I mean, it'd be a bit of a waste if he ends up drifting out of the side.
Yeah. He'll be fullback for early rounds while Latrell's still out, but I'm pretty sure he'll be moved into the halves during the season. That'll probably be where he does his training in the preseason, I'd say.
Yeah. It'd be the smart choice.
Like, trade him up to be that halfback, and then obviously he's just going to be thrown in as the fullback for the first couple rounds, first 2 or 3 rounds, however long Latrell's got left out. I think it's 2. Because he copped 6 weeks, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he missed the round 25, and then he missed 3 finals games. So, yeah, that should be 2 weeks left. Although I wonder if it'll end up being 1 week, because if they end up doing the Indigenous and Maori All-Stars game, will one of his suspended games be that?
I don't think they could do that.
I think they can.
Can they? I don't know. I guess.
Might have to look that up.
I mean, I guess if the coach comes out and says, "Oh, we really want to select Latrell, but now we can't. Oh, what a shame." I don't know. Yeah,
he's hands down a walk into that team if he's eligible to play.
I mean, you'd assume so. He's a great player. There's nothing wrong with his skill level. He's got the potential to be one of the best out there, but he's just got to stay on the field.
Yeah, and get out of the silliness.
Yeah, once he does that, he'll be fine. That's it. Yeah. All right, our last team, the Sharks.
The Sharks,
who only just missed out. Obviously, they were the ones who would have got in if the Titans didn't win by X amount.
I think the Titans needed to win by 11.
Yeah, so they needed that margin, and then the Sharks. So the Sharks were sort of sweating on that game, which I was happy to see the Titans play though. They hadn't made it for a few years, so it was good.
2016, I think, was the last time they made finals.
Yeah.
2016 came down to the Titans or the Tigers, and it would have been the Tigers if they'd beaten the Raiders in that last round. But
but we all know the Tigers don't like playing the Raiders at all.
The Titans were on the opposite end of the spectrum in 2016 to how they got into the finals this year.
Yeah.
In 2016, they had to watch and hope. In 2021, they had to go out and do a job. And then ended up winning 44-0.
The first Sharks exactly. The first Sharks comment is Nairu. It's spelled Neir with 3 U's on the end.
Nairu.
Yeah, so question 1, where did you predict them to finish? Cusp of the 8. accurate. Highlight of their season, they said signing Hines, Fitzy, and Finucane. I mean that's you can't really go past their signings this year.
Hines in particular, that's a big one. That's the big boy signing.
Yeah. Him and Finucane will bring something from the Storm, I think. Finucane with his professionalism, Hines is just a skillful player. I think the talk was they're playing him in the halves. It'd be interesting. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but
So my preseason prediction for the Sharks, I had them slipping out of the eight, but I had them slipping down further than they did. I predicted them for 13th. I didn't think they'd get it together. And I just thought, I didn't think they'd be able to back up the 2 years of just scraping into the finals. I thought they'd slip out this year and slip down just into the bottom 4, but obviously I severely underestimated them.
Yeah.
Seeing as they were one Titans loss away from the finals. But my low light for them in particular, I think, is the game that cost them the finals. But we'll get to that in a sec. As for their highlight, they beat the Cowboys pretty convincingly early in the season. It was round 4, 48-10 at Jubilee. And that, to me, was the quintessential performance of what the Sharks could have looked like all season. But the situation with Morris being sacked and Hannah handed the reins, I think, at a time where it didn't need to happen.
Yeah, they
just
kind of
took
killed
all of the wind out of the sails.
Yeah, they killed their season. That's their low light for me. They made the 8 with a pretty average roster under him. So for things to pan out the way they did was really weird to me. And then they killed their season with it. Like, instead of waiting for the season to be over and then being like, look, we feel like we need to part ways or something.
It was literally a week later. Like, they thrashed the Cowboys 48-10.
Yep.
They have that unfortunate and disappointing loss to the Roosters the week later at the SCG, where the Roosters came back literally from the clouds to beat them 26-18, and then Morris gets sacked. Like, I don't think that loss warranted him being sacked. Like, you look at how fucking long Anthony Griffin was able to keep his job at the Panthers for when the Panthers were having come from behind wins.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he deserved it the way he did. So that, for me, is their low light, because, like you said, that definitely killed their season, I think. And he didn't deserve it either.
For me, their other low light from a game perspective was the loss to the Broncos in round 16. That was the one where they were expected to win. Had they won that game, they play finals.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, Nauru has said the round 7 game against the Dogs, they lost 18-12.
The Dogs just wanted it more.
Yeah, that was the game. That was Trent Barrett crying, that one.
Yeah, I didn't even get to watch that game, to be honest, because that game was being played while I was driving up to Sydney for the Tigers Manly game.
Back when that was even possible.
Yes. Those were the good old days.
Yeah, so that for an individual game, that's a pretty good low light, I'd say. Because to get beat by the credit to the Dogs, they showed up and they really wanted it. They didn't play like the best ever, but they really, really wanted that win and they got it. But yeah, that would hurt to be a Sharks fan that day. Number 4.
That was a disappointing one.
Which player was the club's MVP? And Nauru has said William Kennedy.
And I'm pretty sure he won the club's player of the year as well.
Yeah, he was, I think, their standout player. He was really good all year.
I actually think he almost swept the awards night.
And absolutely no one was surprised. He was basically a fantastic player in a team that played average for 3/4 of the season.
I'm actually gonna go find that. I'm gonna go see if I can find his. Oh, here it is. NRL Club Awards posted by League Unlimited on Twitter. Sharks, they were early. Yep, here they go. Rookie of the Year, Metcalf. Members Player of the Year, Will Kennedy. Tommy Bishop, Players Player, Will Kennedy. And the Porter Gallon Medal Player of the Year was Will Kennedy. He took every award that he was eligible to take.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's arguing this point.
No.
I mean, they can if they really want, I guess. Straight Jackets hanging up to the right over there.
I wanted to go someone different, though. I basically said the way he leads the team, Wade Graham, to me, was probably one of their players of the year. Like he ended up having to sit a lot of the season out.
Yeah, that's
injured,
what I was.
But you could see his leadership on and off the field.
That's what I was about to say. Is I do like pointing out the leadership stuff, but he did spend a lot of time off the field, which makes it harder to pick him. Which it sucked to see, like, losing all these guys with their concussions and then injuries. It's sad to see. I never want that. Yeah.
Other than that, they didn't really have many standout players to me.
Not really.
Maybe Mulatalo, but
yeah, they've got
anyone else.
Yeah, they got a couple of guys in there that were really good, but overall it was a bit. There you go. Promising rookie. They've said Luke Metcalf.
Yeah, he was the one who won. I went Connor Tracy. I think he was still eligible to be called.
Yeah, is he
a
called
rookie at the start of the year?
For some reason, I feel like I've been hearing his name for ages. He's one of those players.
He played 24 games this year, so all of them.
Yeah.
And it's taken his career tally to 42. So he had played 18 games going into this season.
Okay, so he wasn't technically a rookie anymore.
I mean, so he played 2 games for the Rabbits in 2019 and 16 for the Sharks in 2020. I think I'd say less than 20 games at the start of the season. I'd consider that a rookie.
I mean, if you want to call, an up-and-comer, I guess you could get away with it.
Yeah. Enough.
We'll call it, he's nearly at that borderline. We're getting close. He's nearly an old man at this point, but not quite. So early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022. Nauru has said much better with Fitzy coming in for preseason. Looking forward to seeing how this team performs under him. Yeah, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I've got them back into the 8th. I think they'll finish 8th.
Like especially if Hines he's the one I think it'll hinge on. Him and the new coach, I think if that goes, they're definitely going to be in the 8.
Yeah, it's just about whether the new coach is going to get things running smooth enough, quick enough.
Yeah, it really will just depend on how long it takes them to gel. Like you saw, even the Roosters, when they got Teddy and Cronk and that, it took them half a season to sort of get things together and got a bit of criticism at the start of the year, but then they went on and won 2 grand finals in a row. So
yeah, basically.
It'll depend, big time on how quickly they gel and whatnot, but
yeah, so I reckon they'll be in that battle for the bottom of the top 8 for the whole season.
Yeah.
But they'll gel very well towards the end, and they'll be the team that sneaks in, I reckon.
Yeah. They'll definitely be, yes. I'll tentatively say around 7-8, around there.
Yeah. You're gonna we're gonna make you pick a more concrete position.
Yeah, we'll definitely do some proper, like I said, we'll definitely do proper ladder prediction closer to round 1.
I reckon after the trials are all done, because that's 2 weeks before the season starts. I reckon that'll be reasonable.
So in that gap, that little gap we get there, we'll we'll do some ladder predictions, nail down some actual concrete spots, and see how we go. Because there's
See which one of us knows the ladder better.
Because there's so much there'll be more movements and stuff between now and then. So even if they're sorted, the teams around them may change.
Yeah, because I don't think any club has the full squad already for next year. I'm pretty sure every team still needs to make signings.
Yeah, like we're now hearing the Tigers are politely asking if Appy would kindly come and play with them for 2022.
Yeah, we're collecting all the hookers apparently.
Yeah,
don't know why. I don't know why we need the two we've got now, plus Josh Hodgson and Appy Coruscant.
That's what he got. Like, this is what I shared the meme. It's Pokemon. You go catch them all.
We're playing Merry-Go Hookers.
Yeah, it's like the General Grievous collecting them. This is a nice one for my collection, you know. I mean, it's
you belong on the shelf over here.
Exactly. They're just gonna put them in glass cases in the foyer in their new facility when it gets built.
Pretty much.
Like, you guys are our New Jersey models. Have fun. Food and water once a day through the slot in the bottom. So I don't know. That's what I mean. So that's why I'm very tentative about picking stuff at the moment. And once it gets closer to the start of the season, it'll be some more concrete spots. But I do think they'll be in that area somewhere.
Yeah, like it's basically why we call it an early prediction. Because obviously nothing is concrete yet.
Yeah, so but when the time comes, it'll definitely be either 7th or 8th. Don't know which one. Yeah,
I'm leaning towards that as well.
But it'll be in there because they nearly scraped in this year, and that was on the back of a pretty average year. So like, if they have improvement, I can't see them dropping off more than they did this year. Like,
it's hard to see them going backwards.
Like, so I don't see them going backwards. That's the one thing I'm sort of committed to right now. The only thing, obviously, unless they have like a season like the Roosters had, for example, where it's like it's out of their control sort of deal.
Yeah, that's the only thing really that could see them crashing and burning in spectacular fashion.
But yeah, then that's just blind luck, though. No one can see that coming and predict that. So I think that's 4 teams. Do you have any other thoughts on those?
Not really. Justin's looking forward to seeing how the Sharks go defensively under their new coach. Got to keep in mind, though, they have a defensive coach, so they're going to be the one in charge of most of the defensive structures and stuff.
Yeah, unless he sits in the background and backseat defensive coaches, which he might do.
Fitzgibbon will more oversee the whole shindig.
Yeah, he'll have
just
a lot
like the Tigers have sacked Millard, and obviously they're going to bring in a new defensive coach, but it's not going to be matched.
What are your thoughts on that? Since we're mentioning it,
it had to happen. But I still believe he's a scapegoat for Pascoe. Everyone who's been sacked, including Hartigan, they're all scapegoats for Pascoe.
You hear these names, and it's like, okay, are these the guys that are really responsible? Like, so I don't know. It has been all strange. Like, maybe there's a reason for it, like genuine processes not being followed or performance not up to scratch, but I don't know. It doesn't look like the people who, as they say, accountability should come from the top. And it's like, hey, look, it looks like they're doing something, or at least trying to make it look like they're doing something. That makes sense. It's like, hey, cover my butt with making it look as though I've done this to make it better. See, I fixed the problem. It's all good, guys. Don't call for me to be sacked now.
It's trying to put a Band-Aid on the problems, but the problem at the Tigers that is bleeding profusely, and is Pasco, like straight up.
Yeah. There's an old animated thing I used to watch on YouTube called Red vs. Blue. So these guys who did this Halo series, and they're like voice characters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the characters gave the other character CPR for a gunshot wound.
Yeah, right.
And that's what it kind of makes me think of, though. It's like,
yeah, like that's pretty much what it feels like, eh?
that's what it looks like from my point of view. It's like, you need to have a genuine good step back and have a good look at yourself. Like, you look at what Penrith did. They're the ones I come back to because that's what I know best. And they put so much into it from top down. And even now, like, you look at now, instead of having, when Gus left, instead of having one person in charge of everything, they learnt some lessons there. And now they've got like a retention and recruitment committee. Like, even though Gus came in 2011, they did all this building and all this stuff. Even as of 2018, 2019, they were still learning lessons and still building the structures, and they weren't afraid to just overhaul things completely and say, no, this has to change because we need it to win. The Tigers don't seem to be willing to make those really big hard calls that are going to just shake things up utterly and completely.
Yeah, well, keeping Madge at least was the right decision, I believe.
I did like that one. That was a good one. I thought, how, like we've said it before, like, how stupid is it to re-sign someone and then sack them just as, like, especially the coach, just as the salary cap's about to get fixed? At least give him a minute. Like, Jesus Christ, guys, calm down.
Like, it was literally less than 12 months later. He was extended until the end of 2023. And then they still tried to sack him at the end of the year, and they were going to have to pay him out for those 2 years they extended him for.
Yeah, it's, again, it just would have been making him a scapegoat.
Having Sheen's back at the club, I think it can only be a good thing, though, and him overseeing the whole operation should help.
But I don't think it was I don't think it was a coincidence that they were going through all their Madge review stuff. Things got leaked to the media. Fan response was overwhelmingly positive in favor of Madge staying. And then they said, no, we're not sacking Madge. It's okay. I honestly think they were judging. They leaked the information to get a read on public opinion. That's how it came across to me. I think that was
the other thing that speaking of that, the other thing that I think maybe makes sacking what's his name, Cardigan, the right call would be if he was the media leak that was constantly leaking stuff to Rothfield, to Hooper, and Chamis, and everyone else. I would say that would be, in my opinion, the only reason that would have made sacking him right. Like, feeding him the false news, letting him leak it, and then knowing who it was. I still have questions as well on a player front about Brooks and if he's still going to be at the club after
there was
there was a lot against him.
Talk over a couple of weeks about Luke Brooks, and then seems to have died off. I guess the media cycles now on Penrith post grand final, so didn't really hear much about it, but there was a bit of talk here and there. There was so I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
If anything more comes from it. If there's anyone listening who doesn't know, word on the street that I've been hearing is that Brooks was one of the players basically throwing that final round game to the Bulldogs.
Yes, and we're not saying he did. That's just a rumor that went around, as rumors tend to do.
Yeah. But if there is any truth to it, then you don't want a player like that at the club.
Well, no. But obviously, that's only something people internally at the club can know and work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's as it stands. It's just rumor for us at the moment, but unless someone comes out and yeah, exactly. Unless someone comes out and confirms it, but it would be a shame though, because like obviously he's
a junior.
He's a junior, and he's been there.
He
and
lives and breathes them. He supported them as a kid.
Yeah, like he'd be the guy you'd like to see improve his form and take you guys to finals. Like that'd be the fairy tale, you know? Like, oh my god, Tigers had 10 years of no finals, and then Luke Brooks steps up and takes him to finals.
After 9 years, Luke Brooks becomes the Messiah.
Yeah, like that. It'd be the ultimate fairy tale. Like that'd be a hell of a storyline. Yeah, I don't know if he can or not. It's weird though, because I didn't think he was one of the bad players all year. I thought he was actually really good when given the opportunity. But I think the team's defense was just killed them in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
They say that's why they say defense wins premierships, because if you don't defend properly, it puts your attack under pressure, and it's just a whole spiral and mess of stuff happening. Ridiculous. So
I think we conceded 20 points or less, something like 3 or 4 times all season.
Yeah, like the thing that made
let me look it up.
The thing where I felt my stomach drop. I was like, it was that just disgusting thing where it was against Manly, and you just watch like they go for a 2-on-1 tackles and they just fall off.
And there were so many rounds as well where we conceded 2 or 3 tries consecutively. Like we'd concede 1 try and then concede another, either off the kickoff or within the first set or 2 after the kickoff. The main ones of those stick out are the Cowboys and the Titans, both the Tommy Memorial games. We weren't there.
It's
anyway,
the mental.
So here are the games where the Tigers conceded 20 points or less. Okay. Round 3, beating Newcastle 24-20. Round 6, losing to the Rabbits 18-14. Round 8, beating the Dragons 16-8. Round 10, beating the Knights 36-18. Round 12, beating the Dragons 34-18. Round 13, beating the Panthers 26-6. Round 20, beating losing to the Warriors 18-16.
Cream Pie Lars says, "Can I see the N word in here?" I mean, I guess you could say North Queensland. I mean, we prefer Cowboys, but because it's just shorter and more time efficient. But if you want,
nut jobs is a good N word to use too. We might be considered a pair of those.
Yeah.
Actually, I overestimated them because there's still 2 more. The Bulldogs in round 21 and the Cowboys in round 22. We won both of those, keeping both those teams to 16. So
yeah,
what's that, 6 or 7? But that's still 6 or 7 out of 24. That's not a lot of games where we've conceded 20 points or less.
That's not a good ratio. Just putting it out there.
Oh, I know.
The word aimed towards black people. Yeah, I know the word you meant. We were messing around. Like
we both know. Please don't.
Yeah, we'd rather not, but at the same time, I'm not going to moderate the chat or anything like that. Like it's not a word we use or condone ourselves.
We don't want to be offensive, basically.
Yeah, we do swear a lot, but it's very generalized swearing that everyone does. All inclusive swearing.
Yeah, we're 2 random blokes who watch the footy. And swear at the footy and swear when our teams suck.
Yes.
Which for mine is more often than yours.
To be fair,
You've been on the receiving end of some of my horrific rants this year. And for that, I applaud you.
So, to be fair, even though we've had 2 really good years. Every time someone knocks on it or something, I'll say that, like, be screaming at the TV saying they should be dropped permanently to reserve grade.
Do you say that when Nathan Cleary does it?
Yes, and then next time, and then the next time he
no,
touches,
no Macca's soft serve for you after the
Exactly.
game.
Of course, and then next time he touches the ball, he's like the greatest player to ever play the game. So it's just
he redeems himself and gets his soft serve back.
exactly. Like, it's just, it's the highs and lows of the sport we love. Like, yeah, as fans, we ride the emotions.
Yeah, it's a journey, all right. Oh well, got a whole off season to wait now, and I don't know. I think they were talking about releasing the draw by the end of the year, so that's a week and a half or so that ends up happening. At the end of the month, sorry.
Well, that'll be fun to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, so that might actually happen next week. They usually do that on the Monday or the Tuesday, so we might be able to expect that before our stream next week. So we might be able to spend a little bit of time having a chat about the draw and
we'll definitely get
games we look forward to.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a bit of a look at that because that'll be fun. But the one I'm looking forward to is when
find all our rivalry games.
Yeah. Oh, the one I'm looking forward to is definitely when Redcliffe come into it. I'm really keen to see that.
Yeah.
And I played against them. I played against them when I was a kid, and I grew up that way north of Brisbane. I spent a lot of time up there as a kid, so you know, I was one of the people who were like really hoping they would be the team to get in.
And here they are.
Yay.
They did it.
I do wish we'd go to 18 teams, but that's just me though. Just get it straight up. Go to even teams.
Yeah, because that whole having that extra bye complicates things drastically.
Yeah, like I'm sure that when they know the criteria and they'll sit down, they'll work it all out. It'll be fine. But like, I'm gonna hate whenever like my team has a bye and I'm like, oh, cool, I get to sit here and watch all these neutral games, and now I don't get to scream at the TV for my own team. Cool. So then I'm gonna have to simulate.
And it'll happen twice.
Yep, and I'm gonna have to simulate the experience by tipping another team and then acting like they're my team because I want them to win for my tip, and then yeah.
On the bright side, the Tigers will finish season 2023 with 2 extra points than they normally would.
Improving. See, rebuilding works. It's a rebuilding phase. They're nearly there.
Yeah, I remember we were having that chat in Discord last week, I think it was, where I was trying to work out how the buys are going to look, particularly for the Origin rounds, and how some teams are going to find it really unfair in Origin because. So I'll do the math real quick for the listeners. Basically, so there's going to be 17 teams. Each team is going to have 2 buys. So across the 26 rounds, that's a total of 34 buys. So obviously there's going to be 1 every week, which means you can subtract 26 from the 34, which leaves us with 8, which means throughout the season, 8 more buys have to be given out. And I think the way that's going to happen is how we've had the Origin rounds in recent years be 8 buys, 8 play. It'll end up being 5 buys for each of those 2 weeks, which is the one who's going to have to, and 4 other teams that otherwise would have played against each other, which means it'll be the Origin rounds will have 6 games as opposed to 4. And with the extra round, that's how there's going to be 12 extra games in the season. I think, what does that take what did they say that takes the regular season games tally up to? 203.
Yeah.
Which is just going to mean more stress for me when it comes to tipping.
Yes. So
more games to stress about.
So we will still get extra games for the season, the way it works out.
It'll be the 8 for the full round, the 26th round. plus the 2 extra games in each of the 2 Origin bye weeks. But the problem with that is that there are going to be some teams that are going to have their byes both on weeks where they're the only team to have a bye, and they're going to be forced to play games, both Origin rounds. That could really negatively affect some teams if they've had a lot of players selected for Origin, such as the Storm, the Panthers, maybe the Broncos might have a few more if they're playing better. So there are going to be some teams who are going to be really adversely affected.
And it's just going to come up down to those coaches are just going to have to manage their workload through the year.
Yeah, on the flip side as well, you've got teams like the Tigers who probably won't have any players selected other than maybe Stefano. And if they have to play both bye rounds, that might help them a lot because they might get matchups where they're playing against teams that are hugely affected by Origin. Like we got lucky with playing the Panthers with bloody 9 of their players out this year.
Yeah. Justin says ladder predictions in 2023 going to be way harder. Yes, that and tipping is just going to be stupid.
Yeah, and when you pick 9th from 2023 onward, it's literally going to be middle of the pile. Like that team is smack bang in the middle. There's going to be 8 teams above them and 8 teams below them. So if you want average, that's the team that's going to be average.
Fun times ahead. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go with their roster, though. That'll be next year's big thing as they go. Every week we'll be hearing about who they're looking at and whatnot.
We'll probably have some talking points through our streams as well, talking about who the Dolphins are signing and how their squad starts to shape up.
Well, there are some really talented Queenslanders just sort of floating around the comp. So, I mean, there are guys, if they want homegrown talent, they can just sort of pick some Queenslanders up. Like, even guys like Kalen Ponga. Like, if he just... Yeah. Like, a guy like him, imagine holding off his contract and then going up there. You get big money to go home to Queensland and be like, all right, here we go. Yeah, so...
I think I remember that RCG doesn't want to take up a player option for his contract at Para because he wants to make himself available for the new team.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of that going on.
There are going to be clubs trying to lock up some of their stars ASAP, those stars that are off contract at the end of 2023. I know a few at the end of 2022.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Those players can be negotiated with from, 2 weeks away.
It's going to be...
There are some of the Tigers who I'm like, yeah, please don't lose that person.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be chaos, absolute chaos. Like, we're all going to be rated in one way or another. Like, there's even talk Momorowski's going to leave now.
Yeah, he'll be 5 teams in 5 years for him.
And wherever he goes...
What are you doing to yourself, Paul?
Yeah, he's like a bucket list. He wants to play for every team.
That's that one ticked off. That's that one ticked off. And he's played finals at all of them except for the Tigers.
Like, they all win. They've all gone on to success. So, though, to be fair, the Tigers loaned him out. So, they obviously loaned out his good juju. Went with him to the Storm when he got loaned for Harry Grant. But yes. So it should be fun. Might leave it there. Unless there's anything else.
I wouldn't mind going and getting some dinner.
Yeah, dinner's always good. The whole eating and eating sustenance.
Yeah, I'd like to eat before I have to try and get some sleep for my 7:30 wake up tomorrow.
Yes. I'm up at usually about 6:30, so yay. Yeah. So I got half an hour drive to work.
Gross.
Yeah, it's good fun, but having a really physical job makes it worse because the body really doesn't recover well with lack of sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
This is why actually you see the 4 players, and there was one of the some of the preseason clips and talking about the training and all that, and you see one of the things they were talking about. One of the performance guys talking to one of the Panthers players, and he's like, "You got to make sure you get 10 hours of sleep." Yeah.
Yeah, catch up on that sleep in the off season because you're gonna need it when preseason rolls around.
Because like the amount of they put themselves through, especially in the preseason, like if they don't get enough sleep, they're not going to recover and they're going to be absolutely stuffed. Like there's so much that goes into it. Like their whole lives have to be essentially built around this. The way they
like you can watch the Tigers doco from 2018, I think it was the 2018 preseason. This day forward, I think was the name of it, and that gives you a really good look at like what they did in the preseason and just how intense it got.
Exactly. Like, and then everything you eat, your sleeping, your hydration, like every little thing comes into it. It's crazy.
Mm.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming. It was good. If not, I know everyone can probably like smell the sleep deprivation dripping off us, but yeah.
Good to see you back too, Justin. We missed having you around the streams.
Finally.
Hopefully we'll see you back next Tuesday as well.
Yes, with a bit of luck. We'll hopefully get a few more people.
We should be able to start on time next week because I won't be setting up a new laptop at 7 o'clock.
Yes, and I got some damn plovers nesting on the roof out here that tried to start a fight with me as I was bringing my stuff out.
You mad, bro?
Yeah, that was crazy. You should see them. They get all fired up. They're like, yeah, I'm tough. And then you walk up to them and they fly off and you're like, sweet. So yeah.
This shit, I'm out.
Exactly. Like, whoa. Let's not get too worked up here.
Just keep your distance, please.
Yeah, we'll argue from here. All right, night, guys. Thanks.